movies, music, and monsters.
Danger, danger. Warning, warning. Danger, danger, Will Robinson.
Hey my friends, Dan Monroe here from Movies, Music, and Monsters, and welcome aboard the Jupiter 2 for Jupiter 2 Reviews, where we take a deep dive into one of the many classic Lost in Space episodes. This particular segment is something I've been wanting to do for a very long time, and I'm personally so thrilled to finally be able to launch it. No pun intended, with all of you guys, and no, this will not be replacing my normal Saturday afternoon videos, other than this week, of course. These particular segments I'll toss in occasionally on Sunday afternoons, now and again, with Lost in Space being my personal favorite classic science fiction TV show from back in the day, and thanks to the amazing talent and artwork of Ron Hyselius, who not only created the incredible backdrop that you're looking at right now, but also the super cool Jupiter 2 rendering that begins this sequence. And so, as everything slowly began coming together to get this new segment created, I began to think, what should be the very first episode that we discuss? Clearly, any episode that doesn't have Robbie the Robot in it.
I'm just going to wait till later.
So today, I think we're going to take a long, hard look at probably what is considered by some as the greatest episode of the entire series, The Keeper from Season 1.
Seriously? Not War of the Robots?
If I recall, at the end of War of the Robots, Blinky here actually defeated you. Yeah, what do you think about that?
I think that if I didn't take Irwin Allen to the cleaners, shoot in dice backstage at the audition, he would have been able to afford me as the Robinson robot. After all, I can darn socks.
At any rate, The Keeper, which originally aired on January 12th, 1966, was the only two-part episode ever seen in the entire run of Lost in Space, and even though these two episodes were incredible for so many reasons, it was the guest star that really made this story stand out, with Michael Rennie in the lead role as the Keeper, an intergalactic collector of strange and unusual animals from all throughout the cosmos, looking for new specimens to add to his ever-growing collection, with his eye carefully planted on the two youngest Robinson children, Penny and Will.
Yes, not too creepy. Come inside my spaceship, children. I have candy.
As interesting as the story of The Keeper was, back in 1960, there was an episode of The Twilight Zone called People Are Alike All Over, about a human being put on display in an alien zoo, which was based on Paul W. Fairman's Brothers Beyond the Void story, published in 1952 in Fantastic Adventures. In 1964, we saw the original Star Trek pilot titled The Cage, later reworked into the two-part show The Menagerie and broadcast in 1966. I remember when collecting stamps was cool. Now, there's no two ways around it. These two episodes would have been more than enough even if Michael Rennie wasn't playing the lead character, but his appearance in these shows not only gave the entire production more class and legitimacy, but also the fact that Rennie was already known to worldwide audiences as Klaatu from The Day the Earth Stood Still. Yes, The Day the Earth Stood Still, a true classic. My buddy Gort had the most memorable lines.
I guess that's your attempt at humor as Gort was mute. A concept that should have been explored in your character.
Now, to say that this particular episode, The Keeper Part 1, had some real competition the night it originally aired was certainly an understatement. During the first half hour of the show, a brand new series was showcasing its debut episode on ABC the very same night with, yes, you guessed it, Batman. Although this two-parter is an extremely beloved episode, the production on set didn't quite go as smoothly as other episodes, with director Sobey Martin, who really wasn't one of the best directors in the series, being under quite a bit of pressure to get back on schedule after falling behind really early in the production of the show, and who would quite honestly, according to the actors, literally just fall asleep in his chair in between takes.
Who could blame him?
Many people would call his directing style cookie-cutter direction. I like the pink frosted animal cookies. Silence, ninny? Cookie-cutter was a term commonly used back then in the entertainment industry, where most of the dialogue with the actors was just quick cuts back and forth over the shoulder type of shooting. Very different than other Lost in Space episodes that had just recently been produced prior, missing those beautiful, long, sweeping crane and establishing shots. Once again, an indication of a rushed production, but I do have to say that beyond that, the establishing shot of the Keeper's ship is simply beautiful, which was artwork superimposed over the top of a set photo. These two episodes were written by Barry Slater, who previously wrote the incredible episode Wish Upon a Star, as well as rewriting segments of The Sky is Falling, and this is super interesting. This two-part story was originally going to be just one single episode, called Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, but after Lost in Space picked up its mid-season go-ahead from CBS, Irwin Allen asked Slater to extend the story into a second script, not only to keep the incredible guest star around, but also, and I'm quite sure more importantly to Irwin Allen, doing a two-part story would save him tons of money. The prior 15 episodes produced up to this point had already exceeded their budgets, and if there was one thing that Irwin loved to do more than anything else, it was to save money. Yes, he produced many good shows, but man, was he cheap.
That certainly explains him cutting corners on your design.
Hey, be a regular guy.
It may also explain why the first season, and especially the Keeper episode, used so much music from the day the Earth stood still. There's nothing like raiding the Fox Music Library.
Friday and Saturday, October 17th and 18th, Carlisle Comic-Con, Pennsylvania's premier comic book and pop culture convention, featuring over 100 exhibitors and special guests, including Jack O'Halloran from Superman and Femi Taylor from Star Wars. Celebrate the 60th anniversary of Lost in Space with Marta Kristen, artist Ron Gross, YouTube host Dan Monroe, and the Jupiter 2 Experience. Friday and Saturday, October 17th and 18th. Get your tickets today at carlislecomiccon.com. One particular aspect of Lost in Space up to this point that I noticed was that the writers really went out of their way to do something that even Star Trek never did, and that was to not have every alien species speak English. And if they did, again, at least up until this point, it was explained. The bubble creatures in the derelict didn't speak. Penny had to teach Mr. Nobody how to speak. The invaders from the fifth dimension gave an explanation as to how they knew English. The alien family in The Sky is Falling didn't speak at all. And here, the Keeper clearly acknowledges that Will wants to know how he speaks their language. So he gives the explanation that he picked up our communications to our astronauts and broke down the words phonetically. Very cool. Science fiction.
Star Trek had the universal translator and prettier women.
Now, most people associate Dr. Smith being the bumbling fool with the color episodes, seasons 2 and 3, but that's not really true. Jonathan Harris began altering the Smith character very early in the first season, little by little, and honestly, by the end of season 1, he's just as silly and cowardly as he is in seasons 2 and 3, in my opinion. Evidence of that is found found in the original script of this show, where his character is written very serious and almost somber. But Jonathan Harris's flamboyancy as an actor began to peek its head through, especially with that one scene at the beginning of part 1 where...
Oh boy, here we go again.
Sir, are you all right?
Dan, what's wrong?
Out of the way. I am being summoned.
To traffic court most likely. Don't drink deuteronium and drive.
Do something, Robbie. Neutralize that signal or we are all out of a job.
Suits me. I just bought a boat. But I suppose...
Thank you, Robbie. You're a pal.
I guess the keeper didn't have any 6'9" cages.
Whew. Anyway, as I was saying, with the Smithisms peeking through, that was something that actors back in the day really weren't allowed to do, like, at all. But Jonathan knew that the as-written, menacing villain character would just end up being boring to audiences. So, and to quote the great man himself, one day, Irwin Allen walked into my dressing room, pointed his finger at me and said, "I know what you're doing, do more." And the rest, as they say, is Smith history. The animals that we see inside the small cages in the keeper's ship were kind of cool, obviously one-off monsters for those shots, but when Smith accidentally releases all of the giant creatures at the end of part 1, we see, shall we say, quite a few familiar faces. We've got the Cyclops monster from There Were Giants in the Earth. We've got the moaning creature from Wish Upon a Star. We've got the skunk cabbage monster from The Raft. We've got the horned furry creature from the beginning of the show, and then all of them again and again. Clever, cheap, and effective way of making it look like there are more than only 4 monsters exiting the ship.
Also a boatload of recycled monsters from Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea.
Fun fact, the sound effect used for the giant spider, which was actually more or less just a large marionette, is the same sound effect used for the TIE fighters in Star Wars. Interesting keeper tidbit, the floating head character that the keeper was talking to in the show was actually a singer and stage actor named Wilbur Evans, who was 60 at the time, this being a pretty rare TV appearance for a guy who normally, mostly, only appeared in Broadway plays and operas.
Figaro, Figaro, Figaro.
Super interesting in the scene where Smith and the robot are digging the irrigation ditch. If you look really closely, especially on the Blu-ray releases, when Jonathan Harris is bending over with the shovel, you can see the outline of his own personal back brace.
Apparently, Dr. Smith wasn't the only one with a delicate back.
Oh, the pain.
Correct. In fact, this was the primary reason why it was written into the show that Dr. Smith constantly complained, oh dear, about his delicate back. Speaking of Jonathan, he really did enjoy doing this particular 2-part show, especially because he got to work with his old friend Michael Rennie again, who he had previously done a series with called The Third Man. Now, to give you an idea of what these shows actually cost back in the mid-1960s, just part 1 of The Keeper had a budget of almost $138,000, again, just for one episode, but eventually escalated to over $160,000 when all was said and done.
Michael Rennie's Scotch budget was astronomical. He didn't skimp on the Grecian Formula 16 either.
160,000? Wow, that's about $1,600,000 in 2025 dollars.
Believe me, that was a whole heck of a ton of money to spend on a 51-minute television episode in 1966.
Danger, danger, over budget approaching.
When The Keeper Part 1 hit the airwaves on the evening of January 12th, 1966, well, let's just say it wasn't really the best news for or Irwin Allen, with Lost in Space getting only 23% of the audience views during the first half hour of the show anyway, as compared to Batman, which got over 42%.
Pow, wham, kaboom.
They would have done better if that show featured me.
I really hope you guys enjoyed that little deep dive all about the Keeper from Lost in Space, a brand new segment on my channel that I hope everyone enjoys. And if you did and you like this kind of stuff, please consider subscribing to the channel. I've got a whole bunch of new videos coming up really soon that I know you guys are just gonna dig.
And if you'd like to help support the channel, you can always buy us a coffee. Link in the description.
And please feel free to stop back anytime as we together continue the conversation on movies, music, and monsters.
Movies, music, and monsters.
Hey guys, real quick, according to my YouTube analytics, surprisingly, more than half of the people watching this channel are not subscribed. So, if you could do me a huge favor, please hit the subscribe button. It only takes a second, but really helps this channel grow. Thank you, my friends. You're the best.